So we now at the emergency room. They got the baby back in the back, working on him. And I'm saying my prayers, trusting God to bring my son out of this. And while I'm sitting and praying, his father is sitting across from me saying, I knew I should have took my baby away from you. I knew I should have took him and let my other lady raise him. All hurtful words. And as soon as he started to say those things, now my brother and him are arguing back and forth with each other and about to go at it in the emergency room. Then a calmness comes over the room because now the doctor has walked into this room that we sitting in. And he finally gives all of us the information that we don't want to hear. That he didn't make it. In my life, I have never seen a man cry and wail, let alone for his child, the way that I heard this man cry out. After he started to say all the things that he said to me, I began to walk away. I walked out of the hospital and went and got into a car. And to be honest with you, I don't even remember who I got in the car with to leave the hospital. But when I left that hospital, I turned around to look one more time up in front of the emergency entrance. And I can hear his dad saying, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to say all of that stuff, but I'm hurt. Still in that time, considering more people's feelings than my own. I got in the car and I proceeded to go home. Then you go home and you have to deal with the investigators there going through the house, pulling everything out. And after they done did everything they need to do, now you got questions you have to answer. Family coming over. I even had a family member that came over and said she didn't want to really hug me because she didn't want me to cry. Something I always been taught. It's never okay to cry. So then there comes time to make the arrangements. And this the first time his dad stepped into our house since this event has happened. And when he walked through the door, he's standing there in front of the doorway and look at my room door and he just starts to call the baby by his name. Which was very sad for me. We made the arrangements and everything, and after the investigation was over, he asked me to do a couple of things. One, he wanted the medical report of all the things that had happened to the baby when he was going to the doctor, because one of the things he didn't agree with was them sending the baby home because he had a slight touch of jaundice. But he wanted those reports. So, and I went to the doctors to get those reports. You know, they ask questions. What do you want the report for? Do I need to have an excuse as to why I want the reports or whatever, you know? Oh, no, I'm just asking. Well, I don't have an excuse. I just want the reports. I went and picked them up and gave them to him. And when I handed that report to him, he said, "This doctor is through. When I go home, he won't make it." And I looked at him with confusion. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He won't make it. So I asked him, I said, "If I think you're talking about what I think you're talking about, please don't talk to me about stuff like that, because I don't want to hear that you're trying to cause harm to another person." He said, "Okay." So about 2 weeks later, he had a flight plan to go back home. Home was in Haiti. He said he needed to go home because he needed to check on his mom. Well, he went over to Haiti and he stayed there for like 2 months. He left about 2 weeks after the baby's funeral, which again, heartbroken. Because how could you leave me 2 weeks after our baby just passed? While he's gone, about a month later is the first time that I go back into my bedroom and try and sleep in there. And at this point, we've gotten the results back from the medical examiner that the baby passed from SIDS. Well, this guy that he was saying he was going to do things to was a long-standing doctor that I knew for a long time. And the next thing I start to realize is every time I went and seen this doctor, he started developing like this scaly stuff on his skin that I had never seen there before. And I'd say within about a year, this man was gone. Still ain't dawning on me putting it together what was being said to me. But this first night that I tried to go into my room and sleep, I was laying in the bed and looking up at the ceiling. And in the corner, there's like a little nook where I had like a baby doll that my grandma had made for me. And I had some flowers up there. And just laying there, all of a sudden I seen this black spider come out. And he's sitting there. And everybody that knows already know Shauna's scared. I jumped up and I didn't want to take my eyes off the spider because I knew if I couldn't find him, there's no way I'm going back into this room. So I started yelling for my mom and I tell her, "Bring some spray. There's a spider in my room." My mom comes in the room and she has the spray can And the spider runs back into the nook of that corner. My mom gets the can and she spray up into that nook. Now there's nowhere for the spray to escape. So if it's going up there, it's going to hit whatever is up there. What I was expecting to happen is when she sprayed the spray up there, that the spider would come running from up there and possibly fall on the ground, and he's done. I never seen the spider. And my mama was just like, I got him. I know for sure I sprayed him. Never seen that spider. Now, about 3 days to a week later, that same spider is back up there again. Now, I ain't saying this spider got anything to do with anything, but I've heard people talk about those spiders before that you can't get rid of. I'm just telling my story. My mom comes back in there again to spray this spider, and again, we still don't see him fall from up there. He in the same place he was before. After we trying to get rid of this spider, about 2 weeks later, this thing starts to happen to me where I can be asleep, and it's as if somebody come in the room and they're yelling, "The house is on fire! The house is on fire!" And just imagine the anxiety that would be in your stomach if you woke up to that. It happens one time, I try to go back to sleep. It happens 2 times. Now the anxiety in my stomach is so heavy that I can't go back to sleep. So I get up and I go in the living room and I lay there. Because of the restless night that I'm having, I'm falling asleep during the daytime. And I'm fighting it because I still feel that funny feeling in the bottom of my stomach. Something ain't right. So this went on for a little while, and then it paused. And one day I'm having a really bad day, but I'm still feeling like I don't get to cry. I just need to suck it up. So around people, I'm not crying, but I get alone by myself and I cry. But on this day, I feel like I'm so wrapped up and tangled up, like I'm tied up or something. I just need to break out of the house. So I get out of the house and I start walking down the road. And as I walk down this road, a prayer dropped in my spirit that I had never thought of in my life. And that prayer was, Lord, if he ain't for me, move him out of my life. I had never prayed that way before in my life. But that was the prayer that I prayed walking down that road that day. And see, I had already had an experience before, because while I was pregnant with the baby, he had went back home and visited one other time. And while he was there, I was going through this extreme emotion of, I can't live without him. That first week, it was like riding on top of the toilet stool, just throwing up, throwing up, throwing up. And it was like I was overwhelmed with him, like some kind of separation anxiety or something. And I had never been like that before. And then I start to have this dream that just wouldn't stop coming. It wouldn't come every single night, but it will be a dream that would probably come one time this month. And then it kept escalating throughout the month. So you'll have 2 days out the month that I'll have this dream. But in this dream, it was somebody chasing me and trying to get rid of me. And it was like if I stopped running, they were going to get me. And it was like every time I had this dream, it was like I was far ahead of whoever it was chasing me. But it seemed like every time I had the dream, this person was getting closer and closer to taking me out. And then all of a sudden, it stopped. And about a week after it stopped, he's back in Florida. After he been gone 2.5 months, maybe. And now that he came back, I look different. Because now I no longer have the white teeth that he saw when he left. I've now gone and put gold in my mouth. And when we first lock eyes with each other, I can tell that it's very different between us. When he left and now that he came back. We get into a couple of arguments and everything. But some kind of way, I'm clearly in a place of, I want to be done with him. But I still don't understand how I got to this place when just not long ago, I felt like I could not live without him. So anyways, he came back and he wanted to know how much did I pay for the funeral. Because he didn't want me to have done anything for the baby. And even though I said to him, the baby was an automatic rider on my insurance, he didn't care. He didn't want the insurance to even have paid for anything for his son. So he reimbursed the money. He paid it back to me. So I was fine with that. And there's so many things I can go back and just think about. Even on the way to the grave site after the funeral, I remember seeing one of his girlfriends, and yes, I said one of his girlfriends, standing on the side of the road, and she was actually waving at the cars as we rode by to go to the gravesite. And not long after that, I just kept saying the prayer. And I say, about 2 years later, I met my husband. And I had moved on with my life, forgot about him. He went back home to Haiti. And this is what happened. When he went to Haiti this second time to go back and visit, he got ready to come back through customs. Somebody had been deported years prior was able to come back and forth into the United States without any problems. But this time, me continuously saying, God, if he ain't for me, move him out of my life. When he came back this time and he tried to come through customs, he got stuck in Miami. He stayed there for a while. And after I gave birth to me and my husband's first daughter, I get a phone call one day. And it is him. And at the time, I don't really know what I'm doing. But I'm talking because I've never felt this free before in my life. He say, "You got a baby?" Because I haven't talked to him. And the last time we left each other, he's still under the impression that me and him are together. He said, "You got a baby?" No, he asked me, "You babysitting?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, I hear a baby." I say, "Yes." He said, "Well, whose baby is it?" I said, "It's my baby." He say, "Oh, you done had a baby on me." I say, "Well, I really didn't consider it to be that way that I had a baby on you. I just figured I moved on with my life." He say, "Well, what about when I get out of here? What is he gonna do?" And I didn't think about what I said before I said it. But I figured, if you can dish it out, why can't you take it? And I said to him, "Well, how about I do it like this? I got upstairs and I got downstairs. How about when you get out, you live upstairs, and whenever I want to deal with you, I deal with you. But the man who I'm with right now, that's who I'm going to be with downstairs, and we'll deal like that." He said, "Oh, you done turned into somebody's spotty since I've been in here, huh?" I say, "No, it ain't that. You did it to me, so why can't I do it to you?" But remind you, he was very honest with me about what he was going to do. I decided to stay. But I'm telling you what I said to him. And of course, I wasn't for real, because my husband would have never in a million years gone for that. So I hang up with him on that day. And not long after that, we fast forward on with our life, not thinking anything of it. We moved to Orlando, Florida, and everything is going smooth. But I'm telling you, I don't know how many times I spoke this word to so many people, but I always said it because I didn't want people to think that I was crazy. So I always said it like it was a laughing matter. Just something about me didn't feel right anymore. I felt different. So the thing that I started to say to people is, I feel like this man put roots on me. I kept on saying it, but I kept saying it as, I'm saying it to you, but I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. But on the inside of me, I really felt like that, but I didn't think there is anybody who I can say that to that really believe what I was saying. So I kept going and I kept going. And this time, I get pregnant with me and my husband's second baby. And when I get pregnant with this baby, I got to a point sleep became non-existent. That dream, that dream came back. And this time, when the dream came back, this person was less than 10 feet behind me. They had caught up close to me. So there's no way that I could go to sleep. And what was happening to me at this time was I'm telling the doctors about how I'm feeling, and nobody can make sense of it. They start to prescribe me medicines, and none of them was working. I took the first medicine, and I felt like that medicine made me the craziest I have ever felt in my life. So now I'm afraid to take medicine because of the way this medicine made me feel. So I'm 8 months pregnant at this time. And while I'm pregnant, I'm not gaining 1 pound. I actually lost more than 40 pounds in the pregnancy. And at this point, my husband is begging and pleading with me, eat something, eat something, because the baby is not going to make it if you don't. I was scared of the smell of food. I was scared to open the refrigerator. I was scared to drink water because I felt like anything that I put into my body was going to take me out. The smell of a bonfire, which I love to sit around, would send me into a panic, feeling like I could not breathe. And I couldn't wait to have this baby because what everybody was trying to tell me, you going through postpartum depression. So I'm excited. Oh, I can't wait to have this baby because when I have this baby, then all of this is going to be over with. So time to have the baby. And I'm banking that this is over with. I have the baby. I go home from the hospital and things are worse. I can't even enjoy my new bundle of joy. I don't even understand where I am at this point. And at this time, I don't even know if there's one thing that I can pinpoint because at this time I'm going through all of the situations. This is the timing when my brother and my sister have made the choice that they wanted to move with their father. And I let them go. I was grieving the loss of my mom. I'm grieving the loss of my sisters and brothers. And I'm going through this at the same time. Now, I have the baby. And I keep thinking that things gonna get better. But things were so bad at this point. And at this point, I think we had 7 or 8 kids at this time. And just one morning I woke up after not really being asleep, but I was like in a twilight sleep. I got my eyes closed, but I'm not really sleeping. And I wake up and I say to my husband, I said, I think it's time to give the baby away. And he looked at me and he said, what? I said, I think we need to give the baby away. My husband stood up and took the remote control to the TV and he threw it across the room and it shattered in 1,000 pieces. And it was like he was at his wits' end. He couldn't take it anymore. He said, Shauna, what do you mean give the baby away? I was like, give the baby to your sister. I say, because I can't take care of the baby. He got up and he picked the baby up out of the bed from next to me and he walked out of the room with the baby. Because understand, my husband been going through hell with what I'm going through. He walked out of the room with the baby. And now I'm in there alone. At this point, I don't want to be alone by myself to do anything. I can't even take a shower with the shower curtain closed because I'm so afraid of everything. I get the phone and I call his sister. And I say, oh my God, I think he done left me. I'm so scared. I'm in here by myself or whatever. And she is like, okay, I'll be over there. And when she come over there, she's talking to him and she's asking him, can she take me home with her? I don't know what's about to happen, why it's happening. But she said she'll take us home with her, to give him a break for a little while and, to give the other kids a break. We leave and I go to her house. And when I get over to her house, I look at my baby and the pupils of her eyes are now flames. And I take the baby and I push the baby towards her and I say, get her, get her, get her. Her eyes are on fire. She take the baby from me and she said, no, the baby is fine. She said her eyes are just fine. Her reassuring me that what I seen is not there. So of course, after this right here, I don't want to hold the baby. I don't want to see the baby, no nothing, because I don't want to see those flames in the of her eye. Nighttime. It wasn't really night yet. It was like maybe 5, 6 o'clock. Her kids had just came from school, or right prior to them coming from school. I just felt this overwhelming urge that I want to go home. I want to go home. I don't want to stay here. So she is assuring me that I'm going to be okay. But I need to pick up the phone and I'm going to call my husband. I'm going to tell my husband that I want to come home. So right before he comes, a panic comes over me and I just want to get out of her house. The baby is laying in the seat. And just this huge panic come over me as if somebody's chasing after me. I get up and I start running towards her front door. And right before I get to the door, she's able to grab me and I'm on the floor and I'm grabbing at the carpet and it's like I'm scratching for dear life to get out of her house. And she just puts the weight of her body on my back. And after a while, I just lay there on the floor and I'm just crying. I'm just crying. And after a while, she get up and she leave. She let me stay there, but I'm no longer in flight. And the next thing I know, my husband is there ringing the doorbell. Him and his sister get into it, and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna take her home." And she said, "Well, what are you gonna do if you take her home?" He said, "I don't know, but she my wife and she wanna go home, so I'm gonna take her home." And she just asked him. She said, "Give me a chance and just let us stay here with me. I'm begging you." So he ended up submitting to it, and I ended up submitting to it too. So that night, I didn't get any sleep. I stayed woke, and she basically taking care of the baby and doing everything. She bringing her to me because I am breastfeeding. How I'm breastfeeding at this time, I don't even understand. But the next morning we get up, she get her kids off to school, and she tell me, she say, "Come in the room with me while I clean up my room." And I'm sitting on the edge of her bed. She got the baby in her car seat all ready to go. And she walks past me, and then when she walks past me, she got a wall with mirrors all on that wall. She walked past me. I'm looking at myself in the mirror. She walked past and she say, "God, sweep this house clean from the top of her head to the soles of her feet." I ain't say nothing. I'm still sitting there. But every time she walked past me and she come back, "God, sweep her clean from the top of her head to the bottom of her feet." That third time when she walked past, she said, "Today you gonna purge." I say, I don't know what you're talking about. I say, "What does that mean?" Now at this time, I ain't shared with her that I feel anything, that I feel like somebody got roots on me. But this is what she's saying. "Today you gonna purge." When she said, when I asked her, "What does that mean?" She said, "That means you're going to throw the devil up." I started laughing at her. I said, "How I'm going to throw up something and I ain't ate nothing in months?" She did a gesture as if, "Girl, hush. I know what I'm talking about." She walked back past me again and she said, "Lord, sweep this house clean from the top of her head to the soles of her feet." And I start to gag. I say, I say I'm gagging, and I start to get up because she has white carpet throughout her house. So I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I'm gagging. I need something to throw up." And she said, "Don't worry about it. Lord, sweep this house clean from the top of her head to the soles of her feet." I start to gag some more. Nothing is coming up. We move into the living room. And now I'm sitting in front of, she has a sliding glass doors that lead out to her swimming pool. So I'm sitting there looking out the glass window. And she's still walking through, cleaning up her house, vacuuming and everything. And all of a sudden, like this big gag, and there's like this white foam that starts to come up. And I'm panicking because I'm saying, "Oh my God," and it's almost like I'm paralyzed to this chair. I'm like, "Oh my God, I need something because I'm about to vomit. Like, give me something." And she was like, "Don't worry about it." And the next thing you know, there's a large something of gold that comes up and it goes right onto the floor. She walked past me again and it's like she doesn't even care, but I'm panicking because I'm throwing up on her floor. This gold bile looking stuff. She's still saying, Lord, sweep this house clean from the top of her head to the soles of her feet. She goes in down the hall and she comes back with, go figure, a dirt devil. And she said, this is why I said don't worry about him. She said, because I'm going to put that into this little cleaner and we going to send the devil back to the pits of hell where he came from today. She put the dirt devil over the top of it and suck everything up. She say a prayer and she go and flush it down the toilet. Now, on this day, I get a dream that I sat there and dozed off for a little minute, and in the dream, it shows me that I'm at this church. And this church was called Power, Praise, and Deliverance. Now, I'm saying that for those of you all, because listen to the name, Power, Praise, and Deliverance. So I end up at this church. And I'm there. And I've been there. Probably a few months. 4 or 5 months. And on Easter Day, something happened in church. But everything that I had been through at this point, I still don't want nobody to know that I think somebody put roots on me. I'm embarrassed. But now, what happens at church on Easter Sunday, let me know. Girl, you wasn't far from what was going on with you. Somebody got roots on you. And with that being said, that's where I'm going to end the story at tonight. Ooh. Thank you, everybody, for joining me tonight. And I'm sorry that I didn't see anybody in the chat, but I really appreciate you all for coming through. When I tell these stories, I have to sit and close my eyes and just go with the flow of what is going on in my mind at the time. And I don't intentionally ignore the people in my chat, but I know if I look over here in the chat, I'm going to start reading everything, and everything that somebody say they already know, I'm going to end up in another conversation. I forget about what I'm going to say and all of that good stuff. But I just also too like to say that I'm going to continue this series, and I'm going to tell it bit by bit and tell you all about everything that I went through during this time. And everything. But I also want to say that over here we are called the High Class Gardeners, and that is because we always make sure that we grow in something, because if you're ready, you ain't got to get ready. There's going to be shortages coming up very soon again that we all experienced back in that C word moment a while back, because they have the seeds locked up and blocked up and everything. So you all make sure, if you're only growing sweet potatoes or some kind of potatoes or something, grow something in your yard to keep yourself ready. And if you ain't gonna do that, go and load up on you some rice and all of that kind of good stuff so you'll be ready. Okay. Um, Let me go back through my chat and make sure that I'm leaving no questions and everything. Hey Latasha, how you doing tonight? It's been a minute. Callie, how are you doing? Melissa, wow, God is good. He absolutely is. He definitely has been to me. Absolutely. Um, hey Miss Coffee. Hey, Terrence is a Terrence kind of thing. How you doing tonight? Um, Shalissa, hi girl. You have been through so much and you still continue to keep going. I admire you so much. Thank you so much, Terrence. I admire you too. You have me smiling over there despite of everything that I'm going through. I can come over there and definitely get me a smile when you want. You've been through so much. Absolutely, I have. And I definitely know that had I not been through the things that I have been through, I could not be the person that I am today. So um I'm sharing my stories with y'all because maybe somebody that's listening to what I'm saying, you are experiencing something in your life and you might be second guessing yourself about whatever on in your life right now. And God is trying to show you that no, you're in the right place, and don't let anybody else influence the way you're thinking or you're feeling or whatever. But so I want to be able to encourage somebody, even if it ain't, if the one thing I love to take from out of this story is that the prayer that God gave me from the beginning. No matter what you see going on with somebody, whether you think it's right, wrong, or indifferent, put your prayer on top of it. Lord, if they in a bad relationship, Lord, if he ain't for him, Lord, if she ain't for him, move them out of their life. Regardless of everything that I've said, those prayers, the things you see me going through on here, those are the prayers that I put on top of everything. I don't care who comes along. Lord, if they ain't for me to be around them, move them out of my life. Move them on. Go on. I'm in the business of, I don't mind praying people away that ain't supposed to be a part of my life. And on the flip side of that, that if you're praying, Lord, move them out of my life if they ain't supposed to be there, then the exact opposite is going to happen if there's a purpose in for them being there. So with that being said, I am going to end this live. And I thank and appreciate every single one of you all for showing up here, because you could have chose to spend your time with anybody else. And yes, I do answer questions. If they are already here, you can put them in the comments. Whatever you would like, I do come through and I will answer the questions. Some of my videos got way too many questions and stuff on there. I wasn't able to keep up with all of them, but I mean well. But again, may you all have a blessed night. And I will say, Lord, if anybody in any of these people's life under the sound of my voice and they ain't supposed to be there, I ask you to remove them in the name of Jesus. And who is supposed to be there, leave them there. Amen. You all have a good night, and we will continue this story maybe tomorrow. We'll see. I might have a different story that I want to add on to. But until next time, y'all have a good night. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.